today. So the first thing I wanted to just quickly have a talk to you about was how the use of Teams has changed and how it's evolved, and then setting rules, for example, camera on, input, hands up. So how we used to use Teams and how we use it now has changed quite a lot. So this is you can see yourself, Rebecca. So this is what I'm looking at the moment. You're looking at my screen. You can take your camera off if you're embarrassed. I just wanted to show you that you can see. Yeah. So this basically, this is the core. This is what you need for the call. So this is how you run through everything. So with our students, we found some students were joining, and then what they do is they'd pretend. Well, I wouldn't say they pretend, but they might be doing something else, so they wouldn't fully be participating in the lesson. So we get them to put their cameras on, okay? Once they've got the cameras on, because it'll show you who's in the meeting. If you want to put your hand up, you can click on any of these emojis. Now, what Teams has added now is instead of just coming up next to your name, it will show it. So if you wanted to click, there we go, and it will show which ones you're. So if I've never got an applause, so I don't know what that's like, from the kids, but they like putting the hands up if they've got a question, obviously, and the hands up is, very important. Now, you can. The good thing about Teams is you can mute everybody on the call. So these ellipses here are very important because some students. They might like to shout out, or they might like to say, "Oh, I'm here," or they might like to say something else when they come in late, and it can really disrupt the lesson. So what you can do is looking through these ellipses, and these ellipses are everywhere on Teams. It gives you all the important information, and gives you complete control of the meeting. So for instance, with year 12, if we're having a debate, I can change the meeting details and the meeting options. So it's different for them than it is for year 7. So if we have a little look at the meeting options on the ellipses, this will just quickly show now. And then when you go down these meeting options, who can bypass the lobby? That could be quite an important one. So for instance, I can say everybody or only me. Now, if this one, I put everyone in case some people were a bit earlier, but for instance, my classes, I will click only me, because otherwise they will all join in, and you might turn up to the lesson a minute early, but 5 or 6 of them turned up 5 minutes early, and they're all having a great time, or chatting with each other, and then it's, you're trying to get them back on side then. So the lobby can be quite important. Who can present? So again, this is important. So I will go for only me, but you can have everyone. So if a student is doing a presentation or anything like that, the present function is very important as well. Allow attendees to unmute. Now, for instance, if we're in a meeting like this or webinar or with some of the older students, sometimes, usually you will have that as an option. Okay, so the kids can unmute themselves, and then they can say, "Oh, I've got a question," and then the conversation can flow. Otherwise, if the students can unmute themselves and mess about, now you won't really get that, but the possibilities there that they could, and if they have the choice to unmute themselves, that's something that you can end here. So it's just giving you allow meeting chat. It's just giving you complete control. So I've enabled it. I've allowed you to unmute. So you've got all basically the grown-up functions of what Teams is. But obviously the good thing is that you can control all this at any moment. Okay, so that's very important. Now, one of the things we've been using quite a lot recently are these breakout rooms. Okay, so I might deliver what is going on, and what will happen is I will present a topic, and with a class of 25, you don't want it's too difficult to maintain all the students making that they can't have their own conversations. So you can create how many rooms you want, and you can create how many people, and then you create the rooms, and it will put all of the people in the class. You can either do it, so some classes you will choose, right, you 3 people are together, you 3 people are together. Other times you could just put them into random groups, send them away. I will stay in this lobby, and then I will call you back, and then you all come back in here, and that's when you can start discussing what has been getting discussed. Now, you can pop in and out of those breakout rooms as well, which is also very important. Now, the students like that. It kind of gives them a sense of independence on Teams, but they know that you can pop in at any moment. So, you know, I've never been in one and students aren't doing what they're meant to be. So, you know, that's a very good thing that Teams uses, and that's something that has evolved quite a lot. You know, the camera on, the input and the hands up of the students being involved in everything is obviously very important. And that's how, you know, that's something that we've done quite a lot of trial and error with over the last year. But I think we've got to the point now where we know what works. But again, it changes. It depends on you. It depends on your style of teaching, and it depends on what classes you are teaching. But all the options are there for you to do that. Okay. I'd just like to say as well with this conversation, if you do have any questions during it while I'm talking, you can put any questions here, and then I can answer them straight away for you. But there are other ways, and I will show you other ways where you can basically, you know, get in touch with the teacher at any time after the lesson, because we're not just talking about calls and Teams. This is about the whole learning experience with Teams involved. So if I just quickly lower that a moment and just get the quick slideshow back up. So looking at the activity, the chat, the Teams, the assignments, the calendars and the calls, that's what I've just explained at the start, and it doesn't really need much explanation for you, okay? That's something that they all come up down the side, and you know, everybody knows how these type of symbols, they're quite universal now on different apps, etc. And you know, there's no need for me to go through all of them. I'm sure you can figure out what they all mean, and that's how they all work. Now, in terms of the options, the ellipses, the background, the control the participants, that was what I was just mentioning about there as well. You know, the difference between the tabs and starting a call, you know, as long as you've got all those things sorted at the start, then that's when you know that the lesson's going to go well. Basically, the students know what to expect. They know what your rules and stuff are once you set them all out. If they, you know, you're basically preventing them from being able to do any of these things to mess about on the call, and you're making sure that they're doing the work as well, which is always a good thing. Now, when you're on a call, you've obviously got all these things. Now, you've got the share screen, which I'm doing at the moment. Now, obviously, you didn't see this when I first did it, but the share screen's here. And I've stopped sharing it now. Oh, yeah, sorry. But basically, it gives me the option. I can share the desktop, which is what I've just been doing with you. I can also just share the window of the slide, which I will do now. So now I have got your Teams up and I'm looking at everything, but you just got the actual presentation there. So, you know, that's always very, very useful if you're doing something else, or there's something else you need to type, or you know, you get anything else, or any other side of emails come through, or anything, you can talk through these. If the students are working in groups, obviously, then you can leave this on and talk through this. And they can only see that and they can't see anything in the background, which is obviously very important. One of the other things that you can share, you can directly share a PowerPoint presentation, but like as a presentation. Now, the reason I'm not doing that with this Teams webinar one is because I want you to see what I'm actually doing. But what it's also got is, it's got this whiteboard. So this whiteboard now is just loading. So I've got an option here where only I can edit it, or I've got one where we can collaborate. So I'm going to click on collaborate. So now you should be able to click a pen and you should be able to write. See if you can write your name with your mouse. Let's see if you should all be able to write on this now. Can I check that you can see this I'm sharing this whiteboard with you? You should, the whiteboard should have been shared with you, Rebecca. Can you not see it? Okay, apologies. That was something I might have overlooked. Okay, let me just check. Yeah. Okay. So with your students, I didn't think the whiteboard would be something that couldn't be. But basically, it's a whiteboard where either you can do it like a normal whiteboard, or you can all collaborate and write ideas and things like that together, and everybody's here on the screen. So I will take a picture of that for you of what I'm looking at right now. And then what I can do is I can just drag the screenshot over to the so basically when you click on I will show you now. So there's the picture of what I'm looking at, and I will also take a screenshot of the share content page. So there's the different screens, and in the top right hand corner is the actual box. So let me just get that on for you as well. Okay, so you should be able to see now 2 screenshots in the meeting chat. So let me just get back to sharing my screen normally. So yeah, because you're not part of the organization, I can't share that, but you know, way around it here. So as you can see, there's the what's it called? There's the screenshot of me now. Because I'm not sharing at that point, I can't show you that part. But you see, you have the different screens. So you've got here on the chat. So let me just make this a bit bigger. You know, when I click on this, which is the share screen, you've got your desktop. There's the windows. So any window that's open, you can chop and change between which one you want to choose with the students. And that was the whiteboard. And when the whiteboard comes up, it just comes up like that. And then you can either do it yourself, or you know, you can get the students to collaborate. Now, I'll be honest, we use that to collaborate because you know you've already got the presentation ready. So I wouldn't find myself very often having to write or type things on there, you know, because you'd be using the presentation or whatever to do that. And then basically you have a little look at that type of thing, and then that helps you to do that. Okay, now the important thing is what I'm going to be talking about now, and this is all things we use with Teams, which work really well with Teams. So and it links to this. So the blended learning section is the most important part, I think, of the Teams. Okay, because you know you're teaching these students a lot online, and you want to make it as fun and enjoyable and basically as different as possible so they don't get bored, but they're still learning. So these are the most important apps, I think, that you'll need when you're doing Teams. Okay, so hopefully you've got SurveyMonkey, Flipgrid, Kahoot, Quizzes, and Quizlet, and they're the ones I'm going to be looking at the moment. Okay, so if I just have a little show of your team, so this is the Teams webinar. Now I posted these all on this webinar for your for this meeting, basically. Now you'll have your classes in these teams, and this is exactly what your classes will have. Okay, now I've tagged things like this. So for instance, if you tag this poly and you tag it to your class, they will get an automatic notification. Okay, and it will come up there as an activity, and you know, if you're showing the students, and then you will say, look, I've just made a poly. Now that poly is something which is attached to Teams. Okay, so if you click on poly, this is something which works really, really well in lessons, and this is just something which is very, very good in terms of getting something really quick information back from the students, and then it's happening as you're doing the lesson. It's something which can be running in the background, and it's something that you can use to basically, you know, you can use it as an exit ticket, or you can use it as a quick starter. You know, it works very, very well on Teams, and it updates on the actual team. Okay, so it tells you what type of, how many questions you want, who's the audience, send us a direct message off. Now send poly, and then question type. You know, you've got all your different type of question types. Obviously you could do rating. You know, what could you ask there? You could say, don't know, can anyone think of a question that I could ask here? The moon is made of cheese. Okay, and then you got these sections here, and then little preview just to show you what it looks like. Okay, and then I'll send. Okay, so it tells you there all the information which works well. It's automatically on there, and then the students will be able to go onto the poly, and they will be able to see what that is, and they will be able to. So if I just quickly go back to here, if you go to the, can you all go to the general section on this Teams webinar, and do you want to vote and submit your vote on whether you think the moon is made of cheese? Now, this is good for, you know, usually you could have them ready, but sometimes, you know, you might just be, it's because it's very quick, you could just very, very quickly just say, right, who understands the, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how do I need to explain this again? Do we need another lesson on this? That might be something. And because it's so quick to do and so easy, and it sends a message to all the students, and you know how many students are in your lesson, you know how many votes you should get, and you know it's something which works. Now, this is something which you know, with these, now what's it saying that why you can't vote? Is it another issue with being you can see other people's answers usually, but you can choose that as an option. Okay, so here you've got non-anonymous and you've got anonymous. Okay, so I've got non-anonymous. If it's not letting you, I'm just hoping that that's not just another. It's okay if we can't do that. Okay, right. Well, basically, trust me, it does work. Okay, if it's not working in this meeting, it might be something to do with guests or something like that. I thought it did work, but if it's not working at the moment, oh wait, somebody's managed to, so it is working. So, because it's not anonymous, Angela's neutral about that. But you know, here it can be anonymous, it can be non-anonymous. That was a good question. But as you can see, you instantly get this, and that's something that we will use. And you know, it's something that you can even use in your own developments. You know, it's a good way, and it's something which stays on the screen and which really does allow you to get instant feedback. Now, the most important thing, because I'm a languages teacher, one of the most important things, and the thing that I really, really need, thank you. One of the things I really, really need is instant, you know, it's instant feedback. It's this AFL running through the lesson. It's something, it keeps the kids on their toes. It's the best way to learn anyway. You know, when if it's too passive in these lessons, the students are at home, they're on the computers, they've got the whole world around them. You know, they've got computer games on the computer. You've got to try and engage them and keep them in the lesson and keep them enjoying what you're doing and taking part and showing these types of things. And the students enjoy this type of thing. It's quite strange that these, you know, questions here, you know, just little philosophical ones to get the brains flowing. So we do one with which one is the odd one out of, and then we'll give 4 words in Spanish. And then, you know, the ideas that they'll come up with, and, you know, they'll be talking about these types of things. So Poly is a really, really good one for that instant feedback. One of the other ones that I'd like to go through with you that is linked to it. Sorry, there's quite a few that we use now. So that Poly one's one. Now, these are all ones that can get added automatically to, you know, to the teams. So obviously, if you don't know what Kahoot is, I'll go through Kahoot in a moment. There's the link for the whiteboard. Then we got, this is a Quizlet. Now, if you don't know what Quizlet is, I'm going to go through that in a moment as well. I'm sure you've all had to do a Survey Monkey at some point in the past, so I don't think I need to go through that. I can go through that if you want, but I'm sure now that's all linked in as well. And then, as you can see, once I've added a new tab at the top, it comes through as a notification. Now, if it's very similar to Facebook. So if I click at, then as you can see, we've got the guests and the people who are in here. And this was one thing, it really took quite a while to get the students to understand what to do, to make sure, because they'd fire you a message to say, I don't know how to do this, and it might just get lost in the ether. You'd say, if you want to send me a message, you make sure you tag me with the at the start, so my name is Blue. Okay, then automatically it will come up on your activity and say you have a message. Now, the students have all got phones. They know what that means. They know that they've got a message and they know they've got a notification. So that's something which you've got to make sure you do as well. Now, what I like about Teams is for these types of things, it automatically does it for you to a whole class and a whole set. If you want to send it to a specific child, you can tag them in it on this page, or you can send them a private message on the chat there. Okay, both are just as effective. It depends what you're talking about, to be honest. If we just scroll down a bit, scroll up because I've tagged you. Flipgrid, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. And here, the What is Teams assignment has appeared. Okay, so that should be maybe a notification. So let me just click. Someone just tagged me. There we go. Yeah, so you got the notification that I've sent you. So it's just working, you know, it's very, very similar to how Facebook works. But the important thing is that, you know, once you've been using this for a certain amount of time, it all becomes second nature. It's just like using your Facebook. It's just like using your Instagram. And the good thing is the children need minimal input on how to use all those things. Okay, you might say that's a sad state of society nowadays, but we're not going to get into that right now. Then if we're having a little look at all these different things, they're ones which are inbuilt into Teams. Okay, so they're very, very easy. Now, even if stuff is not inbuilt into Teams, we still like to use some of them things. So I'm going to show you how I'd use some of them now. So one of the websites I like to do, now we're not going to do these full quizzes, but I'm just going to show you how they work, just in case you don't know anyway, and how to share them with you. Okay, so let me just get that screen up. Let me just get the quizzes up, and I just need to reset that. So now you should be seeing, I've clicked share screen, and you should be seeing a screen now for quizzes. Now I love this website. This is a really good website, and there's so many resources there already. So basically, you've got the different options. You've got the team, the test, and the classic. So if we just go for the classic at the moment, and I'll click continue. Now, you can do this on your phone or on the computer. So you need to put that joinmyquiz.com, and then you need to put that code when it asks you. So do you want to try and do that now, please? Now, for this one, I like to show the students like to see the screen, and I'll show you in a moment with this website. So this is a really good website, and this is one that the students do really enjoy. Now, you definitely should be able to log into this, because this is nothing to do with, this is a public website. You don't even need to be a member of Quizzes. You don't need to be a member of Kahoot in case you haven't used them before. These are free websites, free to use, and anyone can go on and log in. So all you need to do is type joinmyquiz.com and then enter the code 335188. You should be able to see my screen. Can everyone see? You should. I'm sharing my screen at the moment. Angela's in, Kate's in. I'm not sure who guest is, but I'm not sharing a link. I'm sharing my actual screen. So can you see my screen at the moment? So you can either on your phone just put joinmyquiz.com in, or you can open another window and do it. Okay, no problem. Yes, sorry, I've got Teams linked up to me watch. That's just so I know that's a bit sad, but you know, just in case anybody asks me, it just comes up on here, and then I know if the students are asking me different questions. Now, I'd like you to be able, it's good sharing the link, but I think the whole point of this website is showing the actual page, okay? So I'm going to start this now. Now, the reason the students like this is because it shows how you are doing against each other in real time. So as you can see here, there you are. Now, if you answer the questions, it gives you a score. The quicker you answer, the more points you get. But it shows everybody, and I showed the score of how you're playing at the time. And, you know, you can imagine a class full of students with this. They really enjoy this website, and it's got topics about everything. Yeah, if you've got slow internet, Rebecca, I apologize for that, but and that's the good thing as well. So, you know, it still has the join code at the top, so you can join at any moment. You can join in. You know, some of the students might have slow internet, slow website. Yeah, if you've got slower internet, I'm sorry, but if you, hopefully you can see the other two taking part in it and answering the questions. Yeah, yeah, no worries. Now, I've just picked a little short one here. If you can see it, it's fine. It's quite funny seeing these two, because I think these two are taking it quite seriously. Osh, if Osh is there, I think Osh is in, which is good, but he might have slow internet as well. Yeah, I think they're taking it quite seriously, which is quite funny. Which is good. You know, this is what you want, especially if it's a topic that you've just done. Is that a different case? So as you can see as well, you can go on. So Angela's answered 3 in a row. Kate's answered 7 in a row. So you get more points if you're on a longer streak. Okay, Osh. Now, basically, there should be questions appearing on your computer, on your screen for when you logged in. I'm just showing the screen that I see, you see. Am I going to give Kate a chance, or do I end it now? So the good thing with this is you can end it at any point. You know, some students might have a slow connection, some might. So I'll just show that now. Sorry, other Kate. So I can end that right now. And then, you know, obviously you've got your third, your seconds, and your first. But I think the most important thing for me with this website, apart from that fun element, is you review it afterwards. So for instance, you know, sometimes it will say 10% of the children in your class got question 3 wrong. So you'd be like, right, I need to go through what question 3 is all about. Okay. And then you might say, well done, Kate, you get a house point. I'll put that on for you, etc., etc. Okay. Usually the student who wins when you do play that will make a bit of noise, a bit of celebration about it. Okay. But you know, that's a good website in terms of any good websites that you have. Quick question, best share link if using one device. Yeah, so obviously, yeah, the link is easy to share. Now, in terms of it's just, but usually if you're looking at my screen, yeah, it's very easy to do that. Yeah, it's always the same. It's always joinmyquiz.com. So if I just exit that, you know, whatever you choose, they're all here. So Spanish numbers and listening, for instance, dates, yeah. And then, you know, you can share the screen, you can share the link directly with the students, and some students will ask for that link. Usually the other students will send it if a student says I can't get in or I can't see something, because, you know, they might be quite used to using that particular website. You know, another one that we do use as well, and, you know, it's this share screen function is the key, really, when you're using external external websites, and I know you might have loads of external websites, and if you can put them into this group, into this chat, I'll be grateful. I'm sure the other people will be as well, but I'm just showing you the ones over the last year that I've used, you know, the most myself. So, you know, you've got that quizzes one, which is very, very good. I'm sure there's another one that now, you know, I don't think I've got time to let you play again if you do start feeling competitive. But this one is Kahoot, just in case you don't know what this one is. But again, it's just very easy. As you said, they could share the screen. Again, I've got the window. I click on it, and now you should be able to see my window, which has got the Kahoot ready. So my window is just acting as it would on the board. Obviously, you just click the classic, and then the pin comes up. And then, you know, you can either do it on a different window or you can do it on your phone, like I said. But, you know, for Kahoot, you need to see these questions. With the quizzes, you don't need to see who's doing what in what order, but the students like seeing that, okay? So obviously with this one, you join with the Kahoot app, or you join www.kahoot.it. You've got the game pin there. You're sharing the screen as always. And, you know, if there are any questions coming through, I can still have my teams up. So I'm looking at my team now. I'm looking at you in case you've got any questions. I'm looking at all these different things which are going on, and you're seeing that screen, and you're being able. Now, Angela's always the fastest to get in. Now, this time is going on if no one else goes in. So no one else has made this one in. So we'll just do one question with Angela really quickly, see if anyone else gets in, because you can still join after the fact, okay? So question 1 of 14, it's a multi-select. So which countries have not hosted the Summer Olympic Games? So for this one, you might be able to click more than one and then click yes or no. It's only give you 15 seconds. And, you know, if you know how many people are in, at the bottom, you've got the pin code, so students can still join even if it starts without them. So I'll just end the quiz there. And Angela is there. It's only giving you 3rd place, or it's doing them all separately. I was about to say that's a bit harsh. So Angela has won there. Okay, so Kahoot is another really good one that gives the competition elements to the different lessons, and, you know, quizzes is as well. Now, you know, the main point that I was talking about, those different things, and those there's still more to go through. But it's all about going back to this, the blended learning. Okay, the blended learning is absolutely vital. Even if I use that quizzes or I use that Kahoot, which are fun, but if I use them every single lesson, if I use them all the time, you know, it'd be boring. You know, you wouldn't want to do it again. It's about using a wealth of resources, and it's about using teams to its max. You know, you're using all the different things together. And then, you know, by the time you come to use quizzes or you come to use something else again, you know, you can basically, what you can do is it makes the students enjoy the lessons and, you know, take part and things like that. More challenges than before. Not sure what that. Do you want to just go into a bit more depth for that, Angela, and then I'll come back to that one. Now, obviously, 2 of the ones I haven't looked through at the moment. Now, they're the ones where you're doing it for a bit of fun. You know, you're doing those things to, you know, the learning, but you get an instant AFL on what the students understand. Now, you can use this meeting chat. I use this meeting chat often as well. So I'll just share my full screen so you can just see what I'm actually talking about. But I've got this meeting chat, and I will usually just have that up. Let me just get that up for you. So there's the meeting chat. I'll usually have that up, so if any questions come through, I can still see all this. It's no issue. And then I might say, for instance, you know, what's the capital of Bolivia? Or whatever we're doing about at the moment. What would this sentence be? What would the correct tense be? And then the students will instantly type into the meeting chat, and then I will see really quickly, bang, 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 who understands what. I know that's not the most accurate, because some students might copy off of the students, but, you know, it can be used really, really quickly to just go, right, type this dead quickly, or write this sentence, or what do you think this is, okay? So loads of these different things can be used. One of the other things that we like to use, that I like to use, is Quizlet. So here I added a new tab with Quizlet in. Okay. Now Quizlet, if you're a language teacher, Quizlet's any sort of list. Now for language teachers is very good, but you know, if you teach any subject which involves any sort of lists, I think Quizlet's very, very good, and it does have a lot. So I set this, which you might have seen it come up as a separate tab at the top. So I might have said to the students, right, here's a Quizlet. You've got a week to learn these terms, okay? So capital cities. Now the students would have a little look at the different capital cities dotted around the world. You know, this is really good for learning vocabulary. Okay, and then yeah, I did add them to these teams, but they're all included in teams. But I added them to this team. But Kahoot and quizzes, you can just play by showing, you know, just by showing your screen and showing the scores and showing the different things. So there's different ways to do it. In terms of this capital cities, the students would learn these. Yeah, so you can customize each one completely yourself. Okay, so you can put different things in, and it's dead easy. So this Quizlet, you know, these different games that they can play. So the students can study with these. Oh no problem. So for the study, you know, you can learn any way you want. So some, you know, some like spelling them, some like hearing them, some, you know, different ways. And then you've got a few different activities and matches there. Now, the good thing about this is, you know, that's what the students will see. Now, if I just quickly go to the capital cities flashcard, and then I go to, you know, I will show as an example, what will happen here. Now, once you've shown this to a class, okay, there will be, you know, different scores, and you will see who's completed it, what percentage they got. So this has been a great way for us, by using that test, it's been a great way for me anyway, and for the language department in our school, to still do vocab tests with the students, you know, while they haven't been able to come in. And, you know, it's just a nice way to just keep getting data on what vocab they're learning, what vocab they need to learn a bit more about. And as I say, Quizlet's another one which I've posted on the team, which you can use as much as you want. Now, if I just quickly go back, now I know I'm talking quite fast, but as you can see, there is a lot to talk about. This is like a lot of things that are used. So, you know, Flipgrid was in the actual title. There's a few other things to talk about, but I definitely, you know, want to talk about Flipgrid because it was Teams and Flipgrid. Now, Flipgrid is very good for, you know, any sort of presentation or any sort of speaking. So for language teachers, it's dead easy. You know, I can set questions and they can send me answers back, and it's a video. It's all about filming the students. Now, they film themselves doing it. Now, they can put emojis over the face. They can do all different things like this if they don't want to show their face. But the important thing is you hear what they're saying. So, for instance, if I wanted, I could ask, if I needed to practice with the year 11s last year for the IGCSE speaking exams, but they weren't in school, okay, for one reason or another. So I'd set the questions from the exam and they would film themselves saying the answers back to me, which then I would mark straight away, okay? Now, if I just have a little look, so that's just the discussion. So as you can see, I've got my different classes here of all these different topics that have been done. So if we had the year 12 standard level, now obviously I can't go into these, obviously because it's got students' names on, but you've got here the presentation, you've got the family and friends. So I would click on that. There will be a list of questions underneath, and then it tells you how many responses there are. Now you will watch the students will give the verbal feedback on what you've shown and what you've asked them to speak about. So in history, they might be saying, give a oral description of the lead up to World War II or whatever. Okay, and if instead of a student just sitting there and writing all the time, or it's just a nice way to get them still presenting, to get them still talking, to still thinking about what they're saying. And that's another thing that we like to use as well, in terms of, you know, the students still doing things which are as normal as possible in lessons, but while they're online. Okay, so, you know, you've got all the different writing elements which are easy to do online. You've got all these reading elements which they can still do using the computer, but actually having these conversations with other people and with you and speaking is very important. So obviously this Flipgrid is vital, and when it goes along with this breakout room, okay, it's brilliant. Okay, yeah, they can do anything. Yeah, so music can be sent, singing can be sent, it's anything. All it is it's filming, and you can get them to do anything. Okay, so yeah, it could be used for a competition or something like that. Now we've got a few more people in, but yeah, I'm just going to quickly show you the breakout rooms, because there's a few of you, and I'll show you how we call back. So you got the breakout rooms. So you've set the work that you want the students to get on with. Okay, so it's going to assign 7 people to 2 rooms, so 3 or 4 and I'm going to create these rooms now. Now this is something which is relatively recent on Teams, but you know, it's something that people are really using a lot now. I use this a lot, okay, because I can say to this, instead of me just talking and talking and talking and talking, like, you know, it gets to the point where you're like, I wish he'd shut up. Okay, so there we go. It's put you into groups. Now you can choose who goes into these groups. Again, the ellipses, I've told you how important these are. If you ever see them, always click on them, because it will always give you different options for different things. Room settings, okay? Automatically, all participants can return to the main meeting. So I'm going to say no, because I'm going to bring you back. And I'm going to click like that. That's not going to allow you to do that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the rooms. And now it's going to drag you into a little separate room. And I'm going to send you a message. So I can say, right, you need to talk about, you know, what's been going on the last 3-4 years. What do you think about the last 3 or 4 years? Blah, 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 whatever. Okay. So Teams will now fire you off into your own rooms with your partners.
Wanted to give us a oh.
Work, I'll be able to. Oh, it's doing something now.
See you later.
Okay, bye. Say hello.
Hello.
I've got a little visitor with me, so I'm muted.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, so basically those breakout rooms, it was a bit slower than normal. I think that might have been it must have been my connection. But you know, I sent a message saying I'm bringing you back now, and I click close room straight away. So obviously you go into them rooms, you discuss what's going on. Usually, so now it sent me announcement to all rooms. You can probably see that, so that's how slow the internet was, but it's okay. So basically, what would happen there is, you know, I would set the task for the students and say, right, you need to talk about this picture, etc., etc., and that's how that one would work. So the breakout rooms are very, very important, and you know, there's something that really work well together with the Flipgrid. So the students can basically prepare. Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. That's why I can see you. Don't worry. So you know, you can really, once you've used all those things, once you prepared the students, then they'd come onto this Flipgrid once they discuss something, and you could say, right, talk to me about this, and they would be able to, you know, so some students don't like to film themselves, they don't like to stand up doing a presentation. Now, what you'll find is with that, it's perfect, because even the students who are shy don't mind speaking to a camera, speaking to a computer, and you're the only person who's going to see it. And that really does give them confidence, especially some of the students who don't like speaking in front of others. Now, we like to get them to eventually get to that point, and they will, but you know, you've got to start off somewhere. So that's something which is important as well. Right, I'm just going to quickly go through a few more things now, because I can see it's coming to the end. So, you know, they're all the different things, and you know, if you've got anything that you'd like to add, of course you can. I just want to show you these little collaboration space and the folders, okay, in Teams. So obviously, once you've done all this, you've done all the preparation, you've done all the work which goes along with it. You know, these assignments, vital for being able to see who's handed what in and if they've handed it all in, etc., etc. But the last thing we're going to have a little look at, and this is obviously very important. Now, personally, I use this sometimes, but you know, it's something which some people use a lot. Now, my students have still got the exercise books, and they're still coming in sometimes. So I can get them to do stuff in their exercise books and bring things in. I can mark them, etc., etc. But anything you download goes into this files as well. Okay, so any sort of in my year 12 ones, it's just information about grammar exams, it's past papers, everything there is just in that file for the students to access at any time. And it's next to that, so it's called Class Notebook. So once you open this Class Notebook, there's each student has a basic student notebook. So you have a student notebook, you have a content library, and a collaboration space. So for instance, with the student notebook, that's between you and me. No one else can have a little look at that. Okay, so that's for you. It's basically an online, like using Word, where the students can do all the notes, etc., etc. And you can go on and you can mark on it. You can do everything you do with a normal exercise book. The content library, that is where I might send a text and say this needs to be translated, or send a picture and say you need to think about this picture, and they can see that, but they can't do anything to it. Okay, and then finally the collaboration space, which I have used a few times. All the students can type at the same time, but you can put them into separate groups, etc. But I don't use that as much now because of the breakout rooms. Okay, but that is in case they want to type their ideas down. And you know, this one Class Notebook is very, very good. So it's something that right there. Just trying to go into it now. The little purple thing's gone. Right, I don't think I'll be like, you know, I don't really need to show you this because I don't think you can actually have a notebook as a guest anyway, because I did have a look at this before. So all you've got to realize is this Class Notebook, it's in this general, you've got these tabs across the top. Anything you add, so Poly, Kahoot, Whiteboard. Now it's also put the capital cities, which is part of Quizlet, SurveyMonkey, Teams webinar, all the stuff's there. You've got the assignments. You know, you've got your files, anything gets added to the page, and then the posts page, it's all here. So, you know, all this across the top, and this is what the students will use, and this is what the students really, really do like to use, because it's very similar to what they look at on their social media accounts. Okay, and I think what the students also like to see is they can see all their teams. So like I'm showing you my teams now, you know, there's my classes for Spanish, all the different ones. And, you know, the students will have geography, history, English, maths with the teachers. And if the teacher sends them a message, it'll come through on the chat. If the teacher sends something to the group, it'll come through and it will set this square as a notification. And it just means that the students get everything really, really easily. All the information's there. And you know, if the teacher's making sure that they're using everything that's available and being able to mix and match all these things which it can do, and with the share screen you can literally use any website at all. It doesn't even need to be, you know, compatible with Teams. It doesn't matter. But as long as you're using all these different things, then, you know, from what I've seen so far, the students do enjoy using Teams. Now, don't get me wrong, they're enjoying coming back into school as well. But the amount they were using Teams and the amount they were using the computers, it must be really, really hard for them. So, you know, it's all about making it as fun and as different for them as you can. And that's it really. If you've got any questions, you can always send me an email. You've got my email because I sent you it. You can send any messages to this Teams webinar. I will leave this Teams webinar open for the next 5-6 days, maybe a week. I will post things onto there if you want to come in and get them, and then I will get rid of it after about a week. So you can go on and you can have a little look as a guest on the Teams webinar. Anything you want to have a little look at, don't forget to tag me. So put @PhilipKilgallen, and I can send any answers to you. But if you've got no questions, thank you very much for coming.